Respect. Welcome back. Welcome back to Smitty's Corner. So, for this one right here, we're going to go ahead. This is part 3 of the Incel. We're going to see what we have. We're going to keep listening to this young guy. I'm going to give him more time on this one to go ahead and get a lot of what he has to say out. And we're going to see what we have. But let's go ahead and keep on rocking out. Part 3 of the Incel. I digress. My mic is muted. Let's rock out.
Possibly just went awry with my development. I used to think people were like acting when they would say things like, yo, baby. You know, like to impress their buddies or something. Because I've literally never had the inclination to do something like that. You know, like honk at a girl while driving by or whatever. But the older I got, the more I started to think, maybe they're not acting. And, you know, maybe something different is going on with me. Seriously, I mean, I've never even, liked a girl. Like, people always say things like, oh, I like her, or I like her. But I never knew what that meant. I thought things like, well, you know, maybe I'm asexual. But I don't think that's true either, because, I mean,
I'm not even sure as to what that is. If anybody down in the comment section wants to go ahead and help old Smitty out with what is an asexual, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even feel like Googling it. That's right. Because I just really don't care. It's that far from my mind. But if somebody wants to help me out with what that is, I would appreciate it. Let's keep rocking out.
it's not like I'm completely devoid of, desire. Feels off to say that out loud. I think I'm quite possibly what they call a mental cell. You know, like some sort of mental block that won't let...
You know something? I actually was also thinking about this angle too, right? You know, I do believe that there are some people who were designed to not be, let's say, the marriage relationship. I got time to hang with you. Like, I'm talking about even like friends. I do believe that there are some people who were created to be offset loners for the reason of there is something that you're really supposed to be exploring in this life for the benefit of humanity in some form or fashion. You know, those people that go and take these like deep explorations and all of that. I'm not saying none of them don't have wives and kids. I'm just saying that a lot of them in those fields and positions of life do say to themselves, I sacrifice what we would consider to be normancy for this career field that I'm going into, because the hours, the time, the study, and everything that it takes to be incorporated into this is so time consuming and strenuous that there's no way to balance out this and a family. And some careers do kind of force people to pick one or the other, no matter how hard they try. You could be just one of those as well. I don't know, but let's keep rocking out.
Me advance into the castle age. I feel like possibly my self-esteem is so low that I've subconsciously ruled out the possibility of ever getting a girlfriend or whatever.
Okay, so scratch everything I just said. It's all about self-esteem. Okay, so he does want Kudetang and he does want this life. Oh boy. Okay. The very first thing that I've learned, I'm just going to speak out loud as somebody who's been on both sides. I know what it's like to feel worthless, and I know what it's like to now feel like can't nothing stop you and I'm on top of the world. Okay, so what I notice is this. Don't speak it out loud. As much as you want to vent about something else. What I recognize personally is that when I had my hardest time, and it really wasn't even a hard time. It was just continuous opportunities missed. Why? Because there was a certain headspace I had about myself. When I switched that, I noticed the difference in how things just started to slowly but surely make sense. It all, the dots started to connect. Everything started to come together. And then slowly but surely, I realized what my niche is, how I go about this whole particular thing in which we call relationships or dating. And I know what works for me, right? So that's the thing about it when it comes to this. When it comes to like a all around standard of what women want, I would say the best we can give you is like definitely cleanliness, right? Good hygiene, right? That's around the board, I think, for the most part. I don't know a woman that is like not attracted to a man. At least I've never heard of it. I'm pretty sure it exists, but I've never heard of a woman that's not attracted to a man that is clean and smells good. I've never heard that being rejected, right? Things of that nature. I've never heard it being rejected as far as like a man who actually follows through on his word. He actually makes good on what he says. I've never seen that been received in a bad way. These type things, right? But with that being said, let's keep rocking out and hear what he has to say.
Like, yeah, that's never going to happen for you. Don't even concern yourself. And, I also don't discount the possibility that maybe everyone else is just as terrified as I am. But, I just, like, lack courage. Because, I do sort of have, like, a terrified fascination with relationships and sex. Like, on the one hand, I'm too afraid to even look. Like, going to the edge of a skyscraper and looking down. But on the other hand, it's like I kind of want to see what everyone's talking about. This theme of being terrified by something and fascinated with it at the same time is a repeating pattern in my life that I will get into later. But also, maybe I am right to be so cautious. Like, maybe my instincts are in the right place.
Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use.
Maybe this whole sex business just isn't for me and I can sense it subconsciously. Maybe it's like the obesity epidemic. More and more people just becoming sexless, being guided by forces they couldn't possibly understand. Something like that. I wonder how common this condition is. Like, maybe that's just the way it is now. Maybe incels are just the norm now and nobody ever talks about it. Because, how would you know if nobody ever said anything? Yeah, I've even wondered if sex is even real or like some elaborate lie. Who knows at this point? When I was 12, I started gaining a little weight around my midsection, which, that's not really considered abnormal by most people. But either way, I just really remember just absolutely hating my body. And seriously, seriously hating my body.
I think that's something most people kind of like, I'm not going to say hate, but like, I think most of us at some point kind of feel that awkward stage. I think that's listen, not everybody, but most, keyword most. I believe that's something that would be a common thing. But what happens is that we figure out what it is. And because see, the thing is, most people usually what they do is they hone in what they don't like. And then you know what they do? Whether it's workout or whether it's paying that bread to go ahead and get the surgery, they do the best they can to fix what it is that they feel insecure about. If a man feels insecure about, I don't know, his gut, right, his stomach, that man will either pay the money for liposuction or he will change his diet and work out and get himself the 6 or 8 pack abs that he wants. Period. So I'm pretty sure if you're saying I hate my body, I'm certain you didn't just hate it overall. There were things that you used to look at yourself when you were in the mirror, right? There were things that you would look at with of yourself that you would say, if only that was a little more, if only this was a little less of, and you know what it is that you see is what you're not attracted to about yourself. So if that's the case, then do what you got to do to fix what it is that is. Don't just get online. See, right now, you with that microphone is not fixing whatever it is about your body that you hate. It's not. You just letting us know that you don't feel good about yourself. And that's okay. That's okay. We are here for you and we are here to listen and not judge. Let's keep rocking out.
I was totally disgusted by what I looked like. I remember one time in middle school, they were doing checks for scoliosis, and you had to take off your shirt for them to check you. And it was just like right out in front of everybody, and I didn't want to take off my shirt. They had to take me around the back so nobody could see. I was the only person they did this to. I don't even remember whether or not they took off my shirt. I don't think they did. The whole thing was just embarrassing. I did actually turn out to have scoliosis, by the way. More on that later. I was just so
I'm not sure of what that is, and may God protect him and all of his adversities in life. But I would say, yeah, I'm going to have to look up how scoliosis affects a person. I don't know what the symptoms or what the, like what it does to the body. I have definitely heard of it, but I've just never looked into it. So I'll look more into that and get a better view of it before I do part 4, but let's keep going on.
comfortable in my own body. I would constantly like tug at my shirt to try to create like wrinkles that would like, like hide my fat outline. But people would think, oh, it's just the ripples in the shirt. It's not his fat stomach. I still feel this way. I don't ever take my shirt off. I'm like Kevin Smith. I'm what they call skinny fat, and I'm a wristlet. My wrist circumference never really bothered me though. Just the fat stomach. I've lost a lot of fat since I was 12. I'm actually the closest I've ever been to my
What men usually do is, in the process of losing the fat, we continuously work out. So it's like a slow but even trade-off of, I'm trading in the blubber for the muscle. So you need to either start curling the mic. Maybe, I don't know, that can be your first like 2.5 pounder or so. I don't know how much it weighs, 1.8, I don't know. But you start curling that mic. Then what we do is we move on to something called dumbbells. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, dumbbells. And no, it's not because they're stupid. It's because anybody who chooses not to pick them up and they know they need to work out is dumb. That's right. They're called dumbbells for a reason. Then after that, we move on to something called the bench. That's right. And no, it's not because you are the second string of a football or basketball team. No, it is called the bench because that is where we then upgrade things and we start go ahead and bench pressing. That's right. We bench press and we really get our muscle up. We work the traps. We work the abs. We work the pectoral section. We work the triceps, the biceps. We make sure that these are all things that we keep up. We keep up with our quads, right? We keep up with all of this after we recognize the problem. Recognize the problem, then attack the problem and create the solution. It's your power. Let's keep
ideal body. More on that later. When I was 13, I lost all of my friends due to various circumstances. Some moved away abruptly, some started hanging out with the wrong crowd, some just kind of like drifted away. The thing is though, sometime around this age is when I just started staying inside all the time. Since I didn't have any friends, I didn't really have anything to do, so I just stayed in my room and screwed around on the computer and, like playing Dreamcast. This was back in like the year 2000, so you can imagine how slow the internet was back then, if you're old enough to remember dial-up. I feel like a mentally healthy person might have attempted to make friends again, but something changed for me at that age. And, something changes for everyone around that age.
He reminds me of this kid I used to go to school with. And when we would all get off the bus, how everybody usually would like, kind of hang out, walk real slow before we all like kind of, because we're all walking down the same street or some are going the same direction, or we'll just hang out at the bus stop and just talk and, kick the shit for a bit, right? And just, all right, finally, all right, that day's done. And some of us would hang out and chill. And I remember, man, there was like this one kid, he always used to walk off. Like, smooth walk off, just go in the house. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him, but what I'm saying is that the alienation aspect, the non-communicational aspect, and the social aspect of how one develops. Because listen, the thing is, even down to, how to a degree, even us as guys, we also learn how to talk to women and stuff through hearing stories of our homies. That's why I'm saying this. Even just hearing stories of other guys, our attempts and how we failed and how that was, man, that's funny as I don't know what. And we laughed each other out about it, but we also learned something all the way down to like, man, hit it home run. It was a great night. Let me tell y'all about it over this session, right? That also happens too. So it's not just your experience with just women in general. It's also your experience even dealing with men who deal with women. If you don't get it just yet, bruh, sit back, listen to dudes that do. Because I'm not saying what they have to say is right. No, what I'm saying is you can listen to them and you can peep what this is maybe some flaws or something that you would, and you can tweak it. You can tweak it and make it your own. And that's where I'm basically going, but let's keep rocking out.
13 or whatever, but I feel like whatever went wrong probably went wrong at about this age. My parents also divorced right around this time too, and we had to move out of our home. I feel like 13 and 14 is when you start differentiating yourself as a person. You begin to detach yourself from your parents and your home. Your friends sort of become your family, and your actual family starts drifting off into the background. This never happened with me. I never left my parents' house because I never really had friends past the age of 14. I was just inside all the time drinking soda and playing video games. I wasn't out doing what I should have been doing, which I assume was was going to like, drunken parties and making out with girls and stuff. There was one time when I was about 14, I went over to a friend's house. I still knew him well enough to just kind of like show up, but it was a surprise to him when I got there. I hadn't really seen him in a while. He was the drug friend. I went there because I wanted to smoke weed. I'd never done it before, but for some reason, out of the blue one day, I just wanted to try it, and I knew if I went there, he would definitely have it. It was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life.
All right, buckle your safety belts. We're going back to when he was a teenager and the first time he wanted to smoke some weed or whatever he just said. Let's rock out.
When I first smoked it, I didn't really feel anything, but then like 5 or 10 minutes passed, and then I felt my heart beating faster, and it was just uncomfortable to me. And from there, it just turned into like a 2-hour panic attack. I think I have a real issue with letting go. I mean, in retrospect, it's just kind of funny. I was like screaming at the top of my lungs, "How do I make this stop?" The panic wore off of.
I ain't gonna lie. I do got some really funny stuff. I might do a hard look. I can't do it here. It's gonna take too long. I can do like a whole like five day segment on funny moments of Smitty's life when the first time he was around somebody who smoked weed. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, it's golden. But my point is, yeah, some people, it look, folks like myself, it baffles us. How are you paranoid off weed? I don't know, but what we got to remember, everything has an adverse effect for some people. You know what I'm saying? So for some folks, it doesn't work in the way in which you think it would. Their body, makeup and everything, their whole DNA structure and all of that is just something about the neurological functions that just does not really, agree with how marijuana works. Same thing with alcohol. Same thing. There's just some people like, nah, man, like just drinking is just, no. And it's not even about like being violent or anything else. Just some people, alcohol is like, nah, that just don't work for me. My body just does not agree with it. And that's okay. You might be born to be sober. Stay that. Be an inspiration for the rest of us. Let's rock out.
Eventually. And honestly, after a while, I started to enjoy it, but it was a long, long time before I ever tried it again. And after smoking it, my anxieties just got way worse. I remember one time in school, someone had a pen that they told me to sniff the tip of the pen, and I did. And somehow or another, I got the idea in my head that there was weed in the pen. I honestly have no idea how I got that idea in my head. I kind of remember that.
No, that's called like paint huffing. It's the same as huffing paint and sniffing paint and glue. No, it's just like glue sniffing. Basically, you were just sniffing, huffing, / whatever. Let's go.
The table I was sitting at, everybody was sniffing the pen, and maybe they were like all in on the joke or something. Because I sort of remember that everybody.
Yeah. Markers. Yeah, we used to sniff magic markers. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. It was a very potent and it was a weird but intoxicating thing. Some people were into that. I can say one thing. I hate the sound they make on paper. Ooh, I hate it. I can't stand how a marker that squeak as they, I hate it. I just can't stand the sound of a marker on paper. That is my kryptonite. You ever want to slow Smitty down and just make me grab my ears and just howl at the moon in pain? Just start writing something with a magic marker. A good old fashioned, you remember the Sniff Jones? Remember the magic markers that had smells to them? Oh, those were the best. And we had like the yellow, blue ones, green ones, all kinds. And then they even had doodle brown. I think Luke made it, but don't quote me. Don't quote me. Allegedly, that was Luke's. But let's keep going.